Hello everyone who likes to go vroom 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 early in the morning. Please keep the noise down, I'm trying to sleep in. I am BorderWise, and welcome back to From the Depths, Fuel Engine Basics. Is that what I call this series? I've actually forgotten. My memory's like a sieve and it's been a while. So we are finally on to what is probably the more complicated bit, or the most complicated bit of Fuel Engines From the Depths. We're at the Turbocharger stage. So, in a nutshell, turbochargers are what you jam into your fuel engine when you want power and you want efficiency at high RPM, but you're not worried about the thing being particularly compact, generally. That is kind of true. These things are kind of compact, they're just not very powerful for their compactness. But anyway, it's the usual fuel engine story. Pick any two of the three, power, efficiency, or space efficiency. So, there are two kinds of turbocharger, and they work slightly differently. Both of them improve efficiency at high RPMs. So you have cylinder turbochargers, and you have carbureted turbochargers, which is a little bit misleading of a name because both of them attach to carburetors. So we're going to start with the cylinder turbochargers because they are easier to wrap your head around, and honestly, in the brief experimentation I did for this video, they're actually kind of better in most situations. Don't quote me on that. There's always the possibility that I'm getting this rather complicated and annoying thing wrong. But anyway, so the way they work is, if you're looking at this 3D preview right here, if I do this actually, does that help? No, it doesn't. So you'll see that currently on the screen, the right peg, that attaches to the cylinder. And the left peg acts as an exhaust. So it acts just like all these, which I've just remembered we haven't really covered on in these tutorials before. It's pretty simple. You attach these to a cylinder, exhaust goes out, and it cools your engine. Very convenient. That white thing on top there, so if we're looking up here, that kind of tube on the top pointing to the left on screen right now, that sticks into a carburetor like that. And when it is attached to a carburetor, it improves the efficiency of the carburetor. So, yeah, that is, you can see here, connected to cylinder, helping to cool it, and connected to the carburetor, increasing efficiency. So, cylinder turbochargers are handy for two reasons. They increase the efficiency of any carburetor they're attached to, and you can have a maximum of 5, although, if you try to do that, you can kind of use it, but yeah. But also not really. Ooh, I just realized you can do funky things with this. But anyway, we're covering the basics today. We don't have to get into the really complicated things about it because that's above my pay grade, I think. I'm not paid very much. Anyway, so attach the cylinder, attach the carburetor, it acts as an exhaust, and the result is something that is pretty darn efficient at high RPM. So this particular one, because it has 4 of the cylinder turbochargers attached to it, it has a lovely efficiency of 810 power per material at 100% load. So that's pretty good. It's not as good as the supercharger engines we covered last time, but it is potentially more powerful because it's at full power. It is the stable power, where is it? Stable power is around 222.5. If I was to compare that to just a max efficiency supercharger, I would need to drop this down to considerably less than that. Also, let's have some exhausts here, shall we? So let's do that. So that's pointing out, and also that's pointing out. So now the efficiency is about, well, less power to start off with. And also, you'll see here that it has to be, I have to reduce the RPM now by about 25% in order to get this very efficient, wow, that's actually better than the last engine I made. 1,306.2 power per material, but only 81 power. We know likey. So if you actually want a powerful engine that is efficient, this is where turbochargers are the way to go. So let's just, let's just put all our good work back there. So that is cylinder turbochargers. Pretty simple. The bottom end connects onto the cylinder, top end connects onto the carburetor. Now, carburetor turbochargers are a little bit more tricky because the way they attach into your engine is a little bit finicky. So, if we look here, these things do not attach directly to the cylinder. So, if I copy what I do here, and if I do this, and if I do this, and if I do this, if we get one of these things here, these things don't act directly as exhaust. So, do something like this. You'll see not enough cooling cylinder can overheat. Damn it. Oh. No, it can act as an exhaust. But you can't really connect it to the thing because it's pointing in the wrong direction. You do this, it's not pointing. You can't... Well, you can attach it to the cylinder, but it's really annoying. It's really annoying. I can't do it. I cannot do it, laddie. So it's basically twisted. So you can't really have it act directly as an exhaust. What you gotta do is thread exhaust through it. So in this case, this is where things get a little bit more tricky to build, because you basically have to snake the exhaust through all these guys, something like this. And the reason you want to do that is that turbochargers, both cylinder and carburetor turbochargers, they increase the efficiency of the carburetor, the more exhaust passes through them. So that is pretty... You basically want to put as much exhaust through them in one direction as you can. However, it takes a lot of exhaust to, like, really boost the efficiency of these things. In ye olde days, these things were actually a lot more powerful because, like, any amount of exhaust was shared equally between all the cylinders, but you'll notice that there's an exhaust pressure used right here. So this engine doesn't have that much exhaust because it's just one cylinder. So it's only using about 2.5 exhaust pressure. So it's not even max using this one turbocharger to its max efficiency. So you go over there, and this one isn't using any exhaust pressure at all, even though exhaust pressure is technically passing through it on its way out. So this is not a good inline turbocharger engine because it's not really taking a proper advantage of like having a large amount of exhaust passing through these. There are ways to jam a lot of exhaust through these things, but that is actually reserved for the next video, which is hybrid engines. For now, just know that in this particular setup, this one is objectively better because at high RPM here, this manages 619.4 power per material, which isn't bad. It's certainly better than a carburetor engine with no superchargers or turbos attached to it. But it has a stable power of about 154.9, and the reason for that is because the cylinder is only being cooled by one exhaust. So I would have to do some more spaghetti junction stuff in there to add 4 more exhausts onto it. So in this particular case, 810 power per material, and a stable power of 202.5, and also more compact. It doesn't have these funny exhaust things sticking out here, and also a lower block count in total. So if I just prefab this whole thing, you'll be able to see this thing is a very nice and even... What is it? It's 17 blocks in total. This fella, on the other hand, and width. There we go. Save this placeholder 2 in comparison. Placeholders are convenient for this. This is 33 blocks, so almost but not quite as much, and actually more materials because it's got more exhaust in there. So, note to self, note to actually everything, these things aren't bad. It's just in this particular instance, they're not being used correctly. So, these things are more harder. These are like, you know, not greater risk, great reward. What's the thing? Harder to use, but if you can get them working, they're really, really good. Whereas the cylinder turbochargers are kind of more idiot-proof. I prefer these simply because I'm a lazy engine maker, and if you do something like this, you can have just a very efficient engine, and it's like, well, it's just really good. So, that is the small engines. I am just going to show off quickly larger versions of these. And it's a similar problem over here. So here we have a cylinder-based turbocharger engine. It has 653.7 power per material. The reason it's less is because it only has 2 turbochargers per carburetor as opposed to 4. But it has a fair amount of power. It's like 2,941.9, which is pretty decent. And yeah, it's got less radiators as well. So on the whole, it's leaning more towards power rather than straight efficiency. And this one, I am not proud of this. This is a pretty straightforward way. Not straightforward, what's the word I'm looking for? This is a way to set up your inline turbos. But this is not great. 574.5, not very good. And it even has, I even snuck some superchargers in there, just to make it a little bit more efficient at low RPM. So, actually, 552.5 and 634.5. So, this thing is actually more efficient at lower RPM than this giant mess. So, yeah. Note again that this thing is not using all its exhaust to maximum efficiency. So, you'll see that these exhausts, they all thread here, and they go here. This one is using full exhaust pressure. This one's using full exhaust pressure. This one, this one, this one, this one. Oopsie daisy, and this is where we run out of exhaust. So, at least half the... more than that, it's something like 3/4 of the turbochargers in this engine are not actually being used to their full potential. Meanwhile, pretty much every single turbocharger in this cylinder turbocharger engine does have some exhaust pressure going through it, which is why this thing is so much more efficient than this. The trick is to put a hell of a lot of exhaust through this, and this will make the whole engine much more efficient. And by the way, I've experimented with mixing these two. Exhaust pressure is used by every turbocharger, so pretty much the exhaust pressure of this whole thing is being used equally per cylinder. So you can't have an engine like this and then just poke it into a turbocharger engine like this, because all the exhaust pressure is actually being used right now. So you'll see, like, what is it? How much exhaust is this saying? It's not really using anything, because it's only really making, 2.5 exhaust. So yeah, you can't really thread this up, and I'll actually show you that. Let's just get rid of this deco thing. Actually, hold on. I'm going to just delete all decorations. I've just put decorations on the actual exhaust pipes. That's where the exhaust comes out. So we don't need that anymore. Let's do this. Remove decorations and mimics. And let's do 3-way pipe over here. And then we do this. So exhaust gas pressure. So you'll see that at the end here, exhaust gas leaving here is 45. And the extra gas pressure is 0. Like, by the time it gets over here, it is 0. So if we try and be cute and thread this over here... Right, where is that one thing that doesn't have... There it is. Remember this. I'm going to put a block right there so we can find it easily. So if we try and be cute and do this... Where is it? Does this have more than 4? Nope, it does not have more than 4. So, that is unfortunately going to have to be a cliffhanger for the final episode of this, which is talking about hybrid engines, which is where these things, these inline turbochargers, are really come into their own. Because you can make engines which are really efficient at like every RPM imaginable, and you can do that by setting up the priority of your engines. Like, why can't I change this? Oh, I can change it. Oh, it looks like... Ooh. It looks like From the Depths is smart, and you can only set, like, the numbers you have in the priority setting depends on how many engines you have. Clever. But anyway, that's enough for this video. I hope that helped. Turbochargers are really... This is where engine design gets really interesting, and it's where fuel engines actually really start to shine a bit, because they're nice and responsive, and you can do all kinds of fancy stuff with them, a lot of which is over my head. So I hope this was helpful, and if it wasn't helpful, I hope you have a good day anyway. So thank you all so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. If you want to see more videos like this, support me on Patreon, and YouTube membership if you like. It really helps, and there's fun perks in it for you. Thank you to all my current supporters, and speaking of my current supporters, part of the way I was refreshing my memory on how these things work is with something that one of my Patreon supporters made. Tolrath, absolute legend, made a natural engine museum. So this is available in the workshop, and I'm going to be sharing this in the description. This is like, if you're really confused about engines, this has more engines than you can shake a stick at, and hopefully this will give you some fun prefabs, and I believe, yes, Tolrath has even included some explanations of it, so... Right. So efficient engine, 5 times 5 times 9, and hates it, so... Right. This is a pretty ugly engine, actually, so... Note to self, look at the Natural Engine History Museum. It's really good. Farewell!